forum and the other online tools that we can use will be discussed by Mr. Atheista Bench Espina.
Good afternoon. So basically, I've learned a lot of things today. And the next question is, what now? What do we do about our free thought and the things that we've learned today? So one of the solutions, or one of the options I'm giving you guys the option to choose is using new media, using the internet to in fact express yourselves. Because in the olden times, or in the old school way of doing it, you meet with other people. But in status quo, it's much easier. You could go online, create a blog, and you'll be instantly connected to people that you will not necessarily meet if you were just hanging around in your neighborhood. So that's the advantage. So moving forward, let's get back to this idea of how is it really that we're doing ourselves a favor when we choose the internet. Because basically, when we are starting out as freethinkers, next slide please, we're starting out as freethinkers. We are in a process of learning. So with this form of learning, we engage in conversations, we have thought experiments, we read, we're influenced by certain individuals, whether we know them personally or not. And then we get a light bulb moment wherein we realize that, hey, I'm onto something. It could be owning up to a label if you're into that, but of course some people would not be into that. And of course there's still continued learning. Then what happens next? I'd say that the next step, most likely, is going to be us trying to reach out to people who think like us, people who could in fact enrich us in terms of their experiences and knowledge, and those people who could in fact make us feel normal. Because in status quo, people would think that, hey, I think different, hey, this is the way I think, therefore I'm not normal compared to other people. That is why we form communities. And unfortunately, in the old school way of doing it, community forming is very hard. It is very, very difficult. So that's what's good in the internet. Because when I started my blog in 2004, I didn't really know a lot of atheists. I called it atheista.net because at that time I thought I was atheist, and I continue to think that I am atheist. And though I know that there are lots of stereotypes attached to atheism, I use that to actually turn the stereotypes around and make people know that atheists are not a stereotype. Atheists are people as well. And that is what we must champion if we are to express ourselves in the new media. We are ambassadors for this way of thinking, whether we like it or not. We're not for consolidation, we're not for unity, but the outside world looks at us as one particular group due to this label. So that is what we have to show them. That in fact, in the end, we are all people. We may not believe the same things, but there are certain things that we can agree on. We want a better life. We want greater good for a lot of people. As Mr. Penn said earlier, it is a totality, not just a single advocacy of science, not just a single advocacy of reason. You have to show that I'm not doing this label just because I want to highlight the differences between you and me. We are doing this to make sure that even though I'm coming from a different perspective, you can understand me. So what would be the steps? The easiest way, of course, is something that we've all probably done, or most of us have done, is join a mailing list. We have one at Pinoy Atheists, we have Filipino Freethinkers, and through that, you're in a relatively sheltered environment wherein you could have an exchange of resources, have an exchange of certain information that is only confined to the group. There's certain anonymity, so if there are people who are afraid of exposing oneself being atheist, I understand that it's pretty valid to be afraid and to be very safe, careful regarding that. So that's one thing that it affords you the comfort and the peace of mind that it will not necessarily ruin your life. For the people who are more combative or more aggressive, there are internet forums. So in forums, you could in fact engage other people from similar or different viewpoints and actually debate on certain issues. You could debate on issues like abortion or divorce, or debate on certain philosophical concepts that other people have a different take on. So in forums, you also have a certain kind of safety, because you're you're anonymous. Unless you put your real name as your username, nobody will be able to trace you under normal circumstances. So, if those two things don't necessarily appeal to you, the next best thing is to create a blog or to create a site. I say that's really, really relevant because now a lot of people have access to the internet. A lot of people read blogs, and through reading blogs, I met a lot of atheists. In this room, I'd say that I met like 5 or 6 along the years, and then through this webcast that we're doing now, other people I've met online are actually watching this as well. So it really gives us the way to connect to people. You're just sharing something, you're just sharing information, but at the same time, you're also showing to other people who think the same way or close to what you're thinking that this type of thinking is not necessarily so deviant, not necessarily so wrong. And that is the sense of normalcy that we want. In ourselves, it's easy to say that this is what I am, this is who I am, and this is what I think, therefore this is what it is. The problem is that confidence wavers, whether you like it or not. Because once you see that statistically what you think is not necessarily what other people think, it's easy to lose confidence. And that is what new media brings. It makes us more confident because it gives us the semblance of numbers. It makes me think that, hey, Hemant Mehta of friendlyatheist.com is doing well. He's not a loser. He's not the atheist stereotype. That is because people try to degrade atheists, people try to degrade freethinkers. Generally, people try to degrade the people who go against the norm. And that is what the new media does. It consolidates us in such a sense that those who deviate from the norm are given equal or somewhat they're being put in a neutral light as opposed to being significantly judged every single time. And that's what's good about going into new media. So basically, those are my 3 suggestions. Either you go to a mailing list and share your insights, you go to a forum wherein you could hone your debate skills or you could learn new things, and lastly, if you're really confident with what you can share and you think people would benefit from what you're doing, then could also start a blog, start a website, where it could also serve as a touchstone. Like this event is a touchstone for us. We gravitated toward this event because we wanted to see how other people think, people who think along the same lines. A blog would be like a forum that would be running 24/7 for people who would want to take part in that particular conversation. And if you have the time and if you have the drive, I'll really suggest that you start one. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Benj. You can visit Benj's blog and website at atheista.net. You can visit our website at filipinofreethinkers.org, and let's just continue the discussion. Okay? Coming into this thing, I heard this is one of the phrases I've heard the most. Okay, that it's very hard to herd atheists because they're like cats, right? But I can't even count how many you are in this room. There's probably 60 of us in here. And why is this? Why are we all here? And a lot of people have asked me this, and I think the key really is community. Okay, it's a fellowship. This thing is a fellowship. We're not out to change the world. We're just here to be friends with each other, to talk to each other, to share with each other. And I hope this community continues after this day, in the next forums, and online, and that's it. Thank you very much, and enjoy the food outside. Thank you.